Hi everybody. Tonight we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the IntelliKeys keyboard. We're going to talk about why it is we're spending as much time with it as we are. And we're going to talk about the project we've started with Roaring Riptide, Team 4118, to help make this accessible to people on new platforms. Now, if you've never seen one of these, I would bet you haven't been paying a lot of attention to AT makers. We've been talking about IntelliKeys keyboards for quite some time. If you're not familiar with them, they are a large 14 by 11 keyboard, right? So there's my hand for perspective. That's kind of unique in that it allows you to put in different overlays that tell it what keys should go where. It has little light sensors on the side. So if I flip this over, this actually is a different layout, and it will change what keys are where on the page. There are really two different populations that this serves. One is people who are making their own overlays. They're not using one of these standard overlays. They're making things that go with a story. They're making things that go with a unit for their classroom, and they're making overlays that completely replace this with other areas of the pad here that are going to activate something on the screen. The other is folks who have very serious motor issues. To explain why that's so important, I'm going to go ahead and put this key guard on it. So when I place this on here, you'll see that this actually makes this a remarkably useful device for somebody with cerebral palsy or other motor issues. When I move my hand over this, I can actually my hand is on this. It's actually sitting on it, but I'm not hitting any buttons. And if I put my finger in there and hit the T or the R or the E, right, I can glide my finger over it and activate the keys that I want. Now that may not seem efficient. It may actually seem very slow, but it is fairly errorless. It doesn't introduce any of the repeat keystrokes. It doesn't introduce any of the errors that they would get using other keyboard entry methods. And these are the people really trying to help with this effort. They use these IntelliKeys for communication directly. They are not using Windows 10, either because they're used to using a Mac, or they have software on a Mac they need to access, or they want to use a newer technology. We can't go through the effort of implementing a driver for every one of those platforms, but we did find that there's another way that we can help them. So what we came up with is basically an adapter that takes one end going into your computer, the other end is going into the IntelliKeys, and this is a small device. It's actually a pretty straightforward device that converts the strange old IntelliKeys protocol that this thing talks into a normal keyboard protocol, what's called an HID protocol, that pretty much any computer out there, with a few noted exceptions, can take in pretty simply. So taking apart the adapter for a second, you'll see there's a 3D printed case. We actually put Riptide's name on it. There are two cables, one that needs to go to your computer. That's a standard USB micro cable. And then another kind of strange cable. This is an on-the-go printer cable. So it has a micro B on one side, and it has a large B on the other. Taking a closer look at the board on the inside, you'll see that it's actually a custom PCB board that we had designed and printed offshore. It costs well under $1 to make. And then this is two separate Adafruit trinkets. One of them is used to communicate with the keyboard, and the other one is used to send that information over to the computer or the tablet. I've headed up to Gainesville and trained all of Roaring Riptide to make these boards, and Leanne's done a great job of making sure that her entire group knows how to do it. Now, if ATmaker sends you one of these, or Riptide sends you one of these, what you're going to get is you're going to get the two cords, the standard USB cord and the printer cable cord, and you're going to get an adapter that's already pre-mounted and pre-programmed. So this pretty simple addition has given this new keyboard kind of a new lease on life. It doesn't do everything it used to do in that it doesn't do custom overlays and you can't use things out of Classroom Suite. But it actually lets us do additional things in the future because it now runs standard Python code and is a normal keyboard. In fact, it even lets us do fun things like this. This is actually a Xbox controller that is made out of an IntelliKeys. So there's the right and the left joysticks, the A, B, X, Y button, and it works perfectly. Now, we are doing things a little bit differently on this project. Rather than pointing at your own robotics team, which you're still welcome to do, everything is still open source, We actually have a beta program on the main ATMaker site. If you go to IntelliKeys support, there are the drivers you can download for Windows, but right here you can actually click on IntelliKeys Adapter Beta Program, and you will come to a form you can fill out if you need to get one of these for yourself. The form is straightforward. You can go down here and give your name and address and some basics about why you need this. I would ask that we're going to start, or I'll tell you, we were going to start with people who need this for communication, and then we will consider other applicants. Now, this project wouldn't have been possible without an immense amount of work by a few people. First is Alyssa Wern. Alyssa is an occupational therapist in Gainesville, Florida, and she's kind of taken it on herself to make sure that the IntelliKeys don't die. Second person that really has to be mentioned here is Leanne Brewster. Leanne is the coach of Roaring Riptide Team 4118 and has done a remarkable job of getting her kids not just interested in assistive technology, but really actively engaged. They've started an initiative called First with AT that introduces assistive technology to other FIRST organizations and made up little kits to send out so that those groups can get started making assistive technology. That's not a program we pushed on them. They came up with it themselves. They made the kits and they are actively owning it. They're also taking a huge part in this effort. When you fill out that application form to get your free adapter, that doesn't come to me. That comes directly to Gainesville, and the kids and Leanne make sure that something is made and programmed, and if you want a Mac version or a PC version, you get the right one. They pack it up with instructions. They've made video instructions to send you, and they get it in the mail. ATMakers does cover the shipping, but that's about it. If everything goes well, you will be completely served by 4118 Roaring Riptide. If something goes wrong, we are obviously here to back them up. We certainly want everybody to have a great experience with these devices. If you think this is an awesome effort and you want to support us, by all means, we have a program. If you hit the donate button on atmakers.org, there is a place to say, what do you want this earmarked for? By all means, just say, I want it to only go to the IntelliKeys program. At this point, it's going to be one of our 2 more expensive programs, and we would love your help. Thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed this. I think this is an excellent opportunity to help some people. If you have a chance, join us on atmakers.org or the Facebook group. And as always, good luck and have fun.